live event with you here, even if you're all looking up with masks. At least you're here with us. I do need to ask a couple of things from you though, and I'm sorry, because of course, as you know, we are still under COVID measures here to allow this evening to happen. So I must ask that you remain seated at all times and stay in the seats that you're in. It's a very special and symbolic moment when your child crosses the stage, but at the same time, you still must stay seated. We have a great photographer who's going to be taking pictures all night. She will make sure that she's got some terrific shots of your child, and of course this will be available for you to read afterward. We're sorry that after the graduation you're going to have to leave immediately. Please enjoy our beautiful grounds. Our outside worker Anna has done a great job, and if you could wait out there for your son or daughter to join you if you are taking them home, then that would be great. And of course, take some more pictures out there if you want. But it does have to be outside, and we do ask that you don't have to run out of the building, but if you could go out in an orderly fashion immediately after the event. As you can see from the stage, we're actually organizing the kids in a socially distant manner, and the kids themselves have been living with that for some time, and they've been terrific. Finally, I really wish to thank in advance Ms. Hulks, Ms. Park, Ms. Highbine, Ms. Landis, and our tech staff for all the work they're doing right now to make this happen. As you know, we're pleased to be able to live stream this, and so hopefully your extended family and friends are able to watch tonight. Of course, as always, we have emergency exits on either side here, and we've got emergency exits out back in the unlikely event that something should happen, but this year, anything could happen, right? But we'll keep our fingers crossed. Finally, there are washrooms out in the caf foyer if you just go out the back door, if nature calls. So, this is our 55th year that we have been a school in Stavanger, and we're just so really proud that today we're going to see our latest graduates cross the stage. So without further ado, enjoy this special occasion. Could you please rise? Sound going? Yeah. Parents, colleagues, board members, graduates, and all friends and family who are watching this event live streamed,
welcome to the 2021 Convocation Ceremony for the International School of Stavanger. My name is Kevin Gilmore, and I feel a very fortunate person to be the director of this school and to be watching this group graduate. I'm also very thankful that we have family here tonight, live, and anybody who has lived through the last year and a half with COVID restrictions knows just how important that is and how difficult it's been to get to this moment. Please allow me to introduce the stage. Beside me to my right is Miss Charlie Hulks, the high school principal. To my left is Ms. Åshild Larsen, the chair of the ISS board and senior vice president at Equinor. Graduates, we are here to celebrate and honor your commitment to education and your graduation from grade school. I speak on behalf of all the faculty at ISS and all our students when I say how proud we are of you. As I mentioned, joining us today are your immediate family, but there are many others that are joining you by live stream. And they have been there for you from the earliest age until today. So before we continue, let us take a moment to thank this community, the community of family and friends who have supported you through school and all its stages, giving you support both when you were up and when you were down, because without them, you would not be here today. Graduates, if you could join me. And let us also thank another community, the community of teachers and support staff at ISS who have supported you through school and all its stages, from helping you to tie your shoelaces to helping you to solve algebraic equations, and also supporting you when you were up and also supporting you when you were down. Because without them too, you would not be here. So graduates, please join me in thanking our support staff and our teachers. For 55 years now, the International School of Stavanger has been serving an internationally mobile community and local Norwegians interested in a high quality and transportable, internationally recognized and accredited education. It's hard to believe where we are now when thinking back to that first handful of students who started in a basement shortly after the North Sea oil was discovered. That was back in 1966, the first year for the school. And contrary to popular opinion, I was not a staff member then, so thank you very much. But it's very exciting to think about how far we've come and how far this community has come and the fact that we are a part of it. Because for 55 years, we have become an entrenched part of Stavanger. And we have also become an entrenched part of the International School Network, most recently achieving our 5th successful reaccreditation as an international school by the global accrediting agency, NIASC. It's a unique and wonderful endeavor, this idea of an international school, and with it, internationalism. A complement to our shrinking global village, the idea that students can move from one country to another, Azerbaijan to Indonesia, Brazil to Canada, Dubai to the US, and Netherlands to Angola, all represented. To do this almost seamlessly thanks to the concept of international schools is quite remarkable. We have over 20 nationalities teaching at ISS and over 40 student nationalities. My wife, the wonderful primary teacher, Ms. Sheen, I may be a bit biased, told me just the other day how incredible it is for the rich learning in her class that 14 nations are represented in her class of 16 students. Every day she appreciates how these international experiences and perspectives are shared in her classroom, as do all staff at ISS and all students at ISS. The international perspective and understanding is something that cannot be underestimated in a world that struggles so much sometimes to find common ground. The fact is, international schools are uniquely placed to help contribute positively to what the world should be. And more than ever, this is a world that needs educated students who have a global outlook and are willing and able to question the very foundations of how we do things so that necessary change can be made. It is my hope and belief that these graduates before us tonight will go forward and make a difference, better for their international experience at ISS. And our guest speaker tonight is an example of one of those. We will be hearing from him in a short while. As I stand here before you tonight, it is a time of both reflection and looking forward, as I'm sure it is for our grads. Last week I had my first vaccine shot. Now, I know it's hard to believe that a young guy like me would have jumped the queue and got there and got a vaccine, but nonetheless I did. And as I sat down on my chair in my cubicle at the vaccine center, and the nurse got out the needle and she looked at me and she said, "Are you ready?" It was such a simple question, but it suddenly became a very profound moment. As I reflected back on a year and a half for the world, for our school, for our students, and for you, our graduates. Because for the past year and a half, the world has been humbled. We have learned how small this world is, as a pandemic has worked its way to every spot on earth, irrespective of race, color, religion, or nationality. But over that year and a half, we have seen the world respond. Not perfectly and not always properly, but we have seen the world, literally the whole world, face a challenge and get behind a common cause. That is internationalism. Because the COVID virus has reminded us we are part of one planet, not 200 nations. We are interdependent. We cannot live behind barriers. Because while borders closed, this was a virus that recognized no borders. But within this incredibly abnormal situation, there has been something special happening. Everywhere, people have adapted and strived to keep moving forward, to find a new normalcy in an abnormal situation. And so, while the nurse grew ever more impatient, I thought about the students of ISS, and I thought about the students around the world, and how everybody was making things possible to carry on. I thought of how proud I was of our community. I thought of March 12th, 2020, when I informed the staff that we would close the next day, Friday the 13th, of course, by order of the Norwegian government, and notified our community of this dramatic step. And yet, how did our community respond? They, you, responded like a true community. Our staff, students, parents rallied to move forward. After only a one-day pause, education continued. Staff adapted their teaching, students adapted their learning, and parents supported their sons and daughters and our school through it all. Despite our own challenges, ISS has been one of the quiet success stories around the world, mostly staying open and always providing a high-quality education. I'm so very, very proud of all that has happened to bring us to this moment, that our students were able to continue to work hard and learn, whether at home or in the classroom. And because of that common effort, we are here tonight. We are here to celebrate our grade 12s and watch them graduate. Over this period of time, no grade level has had more challenges and more pressure at ISS. And yet you responded. You responded to everything that was thrown at you. Not always smoothly, not always without setbacks, but that's life. Fall down, get up, repeat. What we saw this past year was that our students continued to learn. But they didn't just learn about academics, they learned something just as valuable. They learned about resilience. They learned about adapting to challenges. They learned about overcoming adversity. They learned that sometimes plan A goes out the window and you go to plan B, and sometimes you go to plan C. And you can't keep longing for the old days because life needs to go forward. These are called transversal skills, and they are what is most prized in a fast-changing world. And they are what our students, these graduates before you, gained as much as their academics over the past year and a half. So, when the puzzled security guard came to my cubicle to ask why I was sitting there and not getting my shot, I told him that at that moment, it was very representative of something bigger, and that I was very, very proud of ISS and our graduates. And then I got my jab. So I stand before you tonight impressed with this group. Impressed with this group as much as any group I have ever watched across the stage, and it's been a few years. It is a particular pleasure to watch this group graduate because I taught quite a few of them ethics and philosophy in grade 9, and so I can say, graduates, we have done what we can at ISS to try and open your eyes, to open your hearts, and to open your minds to the world around you. It's an exciting place out there, and there is much good around you. There's hope and there's much promise. But there's also a need for change, and there's a need for improvement. So graduates, take your internationalism forward to make a difference. And to quote one of my favorite students, who would have been here, but is now graduating in another country, be the sauce, not the juice. So good luck, graduates. I'd now like to call on Ms. Hulks to take over the next stage of our program. But before I do, please join me in thanking Ms. Hulks, as well as our middle school principal, Ms. Wallace, and the early childhood and primary principal, Ms. Raven, for their leadership this year, as much as any year, in helping to guide our school through these challenging times. Over to you, Ms. Hulks.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. The salutatorian is awarded to the second highest achieving student in the entire graduating class. The salutatorian offers the salutation or greeting for the commencement and offers their words of wisdom. This year, we have two salutatorians, both scoring the same grades. Our first salutatorian, Trisha Ravidev, is not only a very strong academic student, through her 4 years in her high school involvement in the school community has been impressively wide-reaching, encompassing numerous activities, including 50-50 Club and MUN. She has also been an advocate for younger students learning at ISS, illustrated by commitment to tutoring students in maths and teaching the primary school dance classes, a role that she excelled in, due to her enthusiasm and ability to relate to primary-age children. She has always shown a positive commitment to ISS, and her actions bring people together. In the words of her MUN teacher, she showed a creative talent in coming up with solutions to world issues and worked collaboratively with others. In yesterday's high school award ceremony, our second salutatorian, Francesca Weinhold, was the recipient of the English Award for her outstanding contribution to the study of the arts. During her 3 years with us at ISS, she's been an incredibly diligent and hardworking student across all subject areas. In fact, her maths teacher described her as holding herself to the highest possible standards and investing herself tirelessly in her learning. For her IB Diploma Extended Essay, she explored the theme of how language can affect people's perception of gender equality in the workplace in Norway. And her passion for equality is reflected in her actions as serving as both secretary and treasurer of the 50-50 Club. Whether on stage, in the high school musicals, or debating in MUN conferences, Francesca has been at the forefront of ISS community life and contributes a great deal to the school. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's salutatorians, Tricia Rabidev and Francesca Weinhold.
Thank you, Mrs. Hawkes. Good evening to those in the audience and those joining us virtually. Honored guests, family, friends, teachers, and most importantly, to our fellow graduates, the class of 2021. Welcome to commencement.
As joint salutatorians, we were given the honor, but also the challenge of delivering a message to our graduating class of 2021. A message that celebrates the successes of this year, yet also reflects on the trials and tribulations and ultimately the resilience and resolve of not only our fellow graduates, but our community as a whole. It only seemed fitting that for this shared task, we reflected and drew on our experience at the Model United Nations Conference in The Hague, where we first collaborated as partners, representing Brazil among many other world voices. The ECOSOC Forum, of which we were part of, was structured in such a way that all delegates worked in pairs, discussing and debating solutions to important world issues through one unified voice. And these students from different parts of the world, despite having never before met, came together in support of one another, striving towards one common goal.
This, in a way, was very much what our experience here at ISS was like. As a community, we strove towards one common goal: to foster and maintain a positive learning experience, regardless of the many setbacks brought by the pandemic. We learned to become comfortable with uncertainty and change, adapting and responding rather than simply reacting. And in this way, as a community, we stayed resilient, as we replaced our classrooms for Google Meet, watching much of our final year unfold through computer screens. As a class, we have our teachers to thank for their shared support. Mr. Howard for his impossible, really random trivia quizzes, which we weirdly looked forward to every homeroom. Ms. Kozer for feeding us chocolate to get us to like maths. Mr. Ostenberg for making the high school hallways his very own surround sound system. And always keeping up to track with the best music. We love Katy Perry too, Mr. Ostenberg. And of course, thank you for always being so enthusiastic and loud in your teaching.
Thank you, Ms. Stricker, for always going out of your way to answer our questions, even 5 minutes before the exam. Ms. Phillips, for sharing your wisdom, your life stories, and of course, your perfume preferences with us. Ms. Popenchuk, for your unwavering support of student initiatives, such as the Climate Action Club. Mr. Benzenberg, for making advisory fun with your riddles and challenges. Ms. Park and Mrs. Holt for being our reliable fairy godmothers. We wouldn't have been able to finish the IB in the middle of a global pandemic without you. And finally, thank you, Ms. Landis, for teaching us during that one English lesson the importance of the phrase, "It just doesn't matter."
Global pandemic, it doesn't matter. We'll get through it. And we did get through it. We successfully completed our exams in the middle of a pandemic. As a class, we learned that the importance of perspective, of that simple phrase, "It doesn't matter," as it helps us stay resilient amidst adversity. And as a class, we prospered amidst adversity, academically, artistically, and socially. You've probably heard this a million times before: the real world doesn't get any easier. But try changing your perspective and it will get better. Because there will always be a way, no matter how difficult or challenging the circumstance is. It just doesn't matter. You'll get through it, you'll get it done. Because our potential is not defined or bound by the context of the situation, but rather by our attitude and perspective of it. And you, the class of 2021, are a symbolic representation of this very fact. You did not let the circumstance, the uncertainties and the challenges weaken or define you, but rather strengthen you and lead you to success, to this very moment.
So right now, enjoy this moment. Be proud of how far you've come and celebrate today.
In a very parent-approved way, of course.
Remember, it's okay to ask for help. Lean on your community, your friends, family, teachers, and support one another. Use these countless lessons and memories to drive you forward, to show you that with the right perspective and a little bit of hard work and resilience, your potential to succeed is boundless. Thank you.
Tricia and Francesca, thank you for your kind words. It's lovely to know that all your teachers' hard work has been appreciated. As you both say, the pandemic has not only thrown challenges at the class of 2021, but has also given you all the opportunity to grow stronger as a group. And I speak for your teachers and myself when I say we are incredibly proud of what you have achieved. Right, at this time, I would like to introduce the ISS graduates Madeline Miller and Rachel Mackenzie singing Read All About It by Stephen Paul Manderson. They are accompanied by the ISS music director, Mr. Seamus O'Brien, playing acoustic guitar, and physics teacher, Mr. Kevin Yelnick, playing the bass guitar.
Hello, okay. I think it's on.
so much, Rachel, Madeline, Mr. O'Brien, and Mr. Yelnick. That was absolutely a beautiful song. Thank you. It is the custom at graduation ceremonies to have a special guest speaker. Due to COVID restrictions, tonight's speaker has pre-taped his message from Scotland. David Townsend is a graduate of ISS. In 2013, he founded Town Rock Energy Limited, an award-winning geothermal energy consultancy based in Edinburgh, Scotland. Town Rock is the leading specialist in all aspects of the UK's geothermal resources. The company's mission is to access the abundant geothermal energy of the Earth's subsurface to provide zero carbon, 24-hour renewable heating and cooling, for industrial, commercial, and domestic energy users. We're going to watch David on the screen behind me here, graduates. Thank you very much.
Hi. Hi. Firstly, massive congratulations for graduating from the best school in the world. I promise I'm not being paid to say that. It absolutely comes from the heart. I'm David Townsend. I was at ISS for the whole high school period, having come over from Aberdeen just at the beginning of 9th grade. And I graduated in 2009. During the IB, I did higher maths, physics, and economics, and standard chemistry, English, and ab initio Spanish. I got a 39, which I'm still really proud of, especially with a 7 in economics and 6s in maths and physics. But really the extracurriculars were the most amazing part. Some of my fondest memories are from MUN and from the High School Musical, basketball, football, and a few others. My proudest achievement at ISS was probably winning the math award. And probably the most memorable piece was actually going through the roofs, which I hope you all were able to celebrate this year. And I made many memories doing that, which I won't divulge today. During the summer, after I graduated ISS, I put an advert in the ISS newsletter that I could mow people's lawns and I could do basic DIY. And it actually led to me making a pretty steady stream of income to fund my summer activities. That was my first real experience of doing anything entrepreneurial. But at the time, it just seemed like an easy way to make money whilst being outside in the sunshine, which is my personally favorite place to be. After the summer, I went to university and I ended up going to the University of St Andrews in Scotland, which was actually my third choice after Cambridge and Edinburgh, neither of which I actually got into. My major was geography, but in second year at university, I decided to switch majors to geology because I realized I wanted to do a proper science. And also I figured it would allow me to spend more time outside, both at university and potentially in my career. So this led me to start my company, Town Rock Energy, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But really, first, I want to talk about ISS and the incredible experience that you've all been through. And really, I think ISS, I found one of the main benefits being surrounded by, really ambitious and intelligent peers, because it breeds a really healthy competition that sets you really well up for going into the big bad world. But also the diversity in the school is really important. It makes you feel like you're part of a global community. And it's so cool to have friends who end up all over the world. And, I've stayed in touch with quite a lot of my classmates. I've managed to go to ISS classmates' weddings in Houston and in Warsaw in Poland. And I've also visited ISS friends in San Francisco and Boston and New York. And of course, I come back to Stavanger because there's still quite a few people there. And I love coming back to Stavanger because it feels truly like home to me because of the time I spent there. But mainly the point there is that you have this incredible social capital that you've built up at ISS that will undoubtedly bear fruits for you for many, many years to come. what I didn't really realize when I was at ISS, but it's really become apparent to me as I've gained friends from different backgrounds and sort of traveled the world and lived in different parts and different sections of society, is that really everyone's parents at ISS are absolutely minted. Compared with the majority of global society, your parents sitting with you are super wealthy. I mean this a little tongue in cheek, but this, what I mean here is it gives you an enormous privilege. So, and it's good to recognize that, because it's something which you have the power to harness. Any of you could start a business, because with a really good idea and lots of energy and enthusiasm, you could crowdfund from your existing network of family and friends the seed funding that you would need to actually get started in a business. But also, mainly money totally aside, the main resource that you have the opportunity to draw on is your parents and your family friends' knowledge and experience and wisdom and their wider network. And this is how I was able to start my company. So let's chat about that for a little bit. So when I graduated university, I'd actually spent a bit of time applying for jobs. I'd applied for a couple of jobs in the oil and gas sector, but my heart absolutely wasn't in it. And I think the people, reviewing the applications picked up on that. But what I'd studied for my thesis at university was the geothermal potential of Scotland, specifically the areas around the Firth of Forth. And I had an email a couple of weeks before graduating from the department about this fund, this competition called the Young Innovators Challenge. And I decided on a bit of a whim to apply for this fund, especially because they said they had £50,000 of grant funding to the winners. So I went through this massive process whereby I was taught quite quickly about what are the basics of setting up a business, how do you make a plan, and ended up winning the grant funding. So 3 weeks after I graduated, I started the company Town Rock Energy, and that was in 2013. And incredibly, now 8.5 years later, coming on 9 years later, we're it's still a company, and we're doing some really, really cool stuff. So I'll talk a bit more about sort of what's been going on at Town Rock. So it's a geothermal energy specialist consultancy. The basic principle is there's lots of renewable energy in the ground beneath us. And there's lots of different ways of harnessing that energy and using it for heating, for cooling, or in some cases for electricity generation. And the power generation areas are pretty limited to areas where you have kind of active volcanism. So like Iceland and New Zealand are really big producers of geothermal power. But for heat, it's generally quite overlooked. A lot of that's because the general sources of heat, so fossil fuels, natural gas, are by far cheaper when you've got gas piped directly to your house. But actually where there isn't gas, or in the case that we need to phase out gas to reduce carbon emissions, then geothermal energy is a very competitive source of heating. So I started looking at deep geothermal, and now we've kind of branched the company out into heat pumps in general, generally looking at very large scale heat pumps. So we might build a system for, for a university campus that needs to heat their entire university renewably. And we've, I've going through that process of I've hired engineers, hired geologists, and really found that, my interest is finding opportunities. So finding potential clients or potential projects and trying to make them happen. And figuring out what type of geothermal system might work for them and how much carbon that will save and what it'll cost to build, and then describing that whole journey to the client so that they're willing to hire us as a consultant to really map that out for them. So we've done a lot of work in Scotland, we've done quite a lot of work in England, and have now done some work in Canada. And right now it seems that the company is going through a bit of a growth spurt. So I'm feeling really optimistic, albeit I'm working many hours right now, but the key thing that it's given me is a real feeling of purpose. And I think, and if any of my old teachers are here, they would attest that I was maybe not the best at, following firm instructions. And I'm quite suited to, wanting to be my own boss and decide what should be done and what shouldn't be done. And so taking on that level of responsibility really made me take ownership for my own kind of actions and my own behavior. And now I feel a lot of gratification in being able to kind of hire younger people who can come into the company and whom I can kind of mentor and help build up their skills. So it's been a really rewarding path, albeit quite, financially insecure at many times. And there's plenty of times when I wish I'd tried a bit harder to get an oil job. But actually, at the end of the day, it's about trying to create change in the world. And I think that being an entrepreneur who's coming at something from coming at a problem from a new angle, and trying to make something happen is very, very rewarding. So it's worth considering as you go forward. So just to kind of wrap up, I want to, well, not wrap up, sorry, but I want to kind of describe a little bit of my life philosophy and some of my core messaging. Really, like the key thing that motivates me and has motivated me for a long time is climate change. The biggest, most complicated existential threat that humanity has ever faced and probably will ever face. I first was made aware of climate change while I was at ISS from the legend that is Mr. Ostenberg. He showed us An Inconvenient Truth from Al Gore in class, and that really resonated with me to the size of this problem and the fact that there's not nearly being enough done about it on a global scale. Some of the comparisons we might have would be, for example, nuclear war. That's a big existential crisis that we could face. But I feel like a big difference is that in that case, there's a few people that have the power to set off a nuclear war, and they would have to make a decision to do that. And that's a really massive decision to make. And so far, nobody's made that decision. And, well, I don't think that will happen. But the reality with climate change is that doing nothing not making any decisions is always going to be the easiest option. And that's what's getting us into this enormous mess and causing climate change to become a really glaring issue that we need to deal with right now. And the only real thing that will solve it is if lots of people in power and really everybody makes a lot of very difficult decisions to help start really investing in a sustainable system of consumption, a sustainable system of energy provision. If you want to solve climate change, I think, at least this has been something that's really driven me to become an entrepreneur, is that you need to convince people with money that they can keep getting wealthy whilst also tackling climate change, that there's a way that they can embrace the solutions to climate change in their kind of current capitalist thinking. And now, fortunately, I'm starting to become a little more optimistic that, and it's really through my experience of meeting quite a few wealthy and powerful people that are themselves extremely motivated to make the world a better place, to tackle climate change. And they want to use their wealth in ways that are going to benefit society by reducing carbon emissions and setting an example to other people in their position. And they're not necessarily going to gain direct financial reward for that decision. But of course, there is always some motive of at least building their brand and gaining new customers, because fortunately we are now in a situation where the general public, you and me, all think that climate change is quite a big issue and that it needs to be tackled, and that we're willing to perhaps in cases spend more money on a product if we know that it's produced sustainably and ethically versus the sort of status quo. So just to wrap this up, you're graduating from an absolutely awesome school, and I hope you value and cherish the memories you've made there for forever, as I have and I will. Make sure you don't compare the universities that you go to this school, because you might very well be disappointed. It's really up there. Again, not being paid to say this, but so make sure that when you do go to university, that you do something that you really enjoy and you feel passionate about, and think very broadly about this. I ended up doing geology really because I wanted to be outside more. And little did I know that it would start to me actually setting up a renewable energy company And now in reality, I actually delegate all the geology to other geologists, because I'm better suited to kind of managing the client relationships and managing projects and developing the business, as opposed to getting necessarily drawn into all of the detail of the business. So I tend to hire geologists and engineers, but having that background in geology allowed me to start the company, and it really allows me to still have the technical conversations with people when I need to. But really, do something that you're really passionate about. Don't just do it because you think it's going to lead you on a certain trajectory, because what you do at university is not necessarily going to define what you end up doing with your career. Then, as you go out and into university and beyond that, make sure that you're really, giving yourself credit in the change that you can drive, and don't get me wrong, driving change is very hard, but it's always worth it. So you have to absolutely just go for it. And when you feel like giving up, just take a day off, or a week, or even longer if you need to rest and reflect and recharge. And I make sure to do that, regularly, because it's very easy to burn out when you're trying to push something forward that isn't a sort of a natural, easy change that lots of people are pushing forward. You're doing something a little bit differently, but it's 100% worthwhile doing, because it gives you that real sense of purpose. And what may seem impossible and scary right in the moment will actually then seem really exciting and worthwhile once you've had a bit of time to reflect and recharge. So nothing in life, though, is really going to be more intense than your IB exams. So at least from here on out, it's more or less smooth sailing. So you'll be fine. So one of the big differences after graduating from ISS at university and in your chosen career path is that the help that you need won't anymore be delivered to you on a silver platter. You'll have to figure out what help you need, and you'll have to go out and get it. Now, fortunately, loads of people want to help, but you'll need to go out and ask for that help. Now, this might sound kind of simple, but many people struggle at asking for help when they really need it, or they end up always asking the same person for everything they need. So a little piece of advice is to try to map out the help that you need in the chosen sort of challenge that you're taking on, and look to different people in your life for different bits of help that you might need. And when you see that there's a gap, like you need some particularly specialist advice or help, then you can go out and find the person who's going to be able to provide that help. Because the reality is that, we're all in this together. We're all riding the same planet around the sun. And when someone's coming up with something interesting and wants to tackle a challenge, there's so many people out there with far more experience that are willing to help them do that. So just go for it. Another little piece of advice, and also, partially based off personal experience and from seeing friends go through this, is that you really don't want to spend too much time online, and especially on social media. Like 30 minutes a day is more than enough. If you spend a lot of time on social media, it will make you depressed. In my mind, it's actually designed to, because when you're sad, it makes you want things, and that wanting makes you spend money on stuff. And that's how the whole kind of algorithm works. So don't spend too much time on it. Happiness really, in my mind, comes from genuine human connection and being forgiving to yourself and not judging others. And it comes from being able to find a real calmness in your mind that you can tap into, which is really best found through meditation and also through exercise and going on cool adventures, and lots of other things as well. I can't summarize it all, but there's been a lot of great thinkers, philosophers and monks and stoics that have sort of rooted around in what makes people happy, and it's worth doing, reading into the topic, because it's not what on the face of it we're maybe led to believe in our current capitalist society. But absolutely, happiness does not come from spending hours scrolling your phone on social media or buying things that you don't actually need. You probably all know this already anyway, but I hope it's useful, at least to hear it. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but COVID-19 has been quite a bummer the last year, and I really, really empathize with you all, because and especially with university students that have been going through the last year, because it's, if nothing else, really restricted the amount of parties that you could have had. And I hope you make up for it once we're all vaccinated and free to have fun again. But I feel like the silver lining in COVID, because there really are quite a few, and a really strong one for me is that, it's proven that when we've got a massive global challenge, we are, as a global society, able to cooperate for the greater good. And this gives me enormous hope for our ability to actually tackle the much bigger challenge of climate change. So you're graduating at a very exciting time. I graduated just after the 2008 recession, which caused a similar time of uncertainty. But when these global catastrophes happen, it creates space for innovation and loads of space for new ideas to flourish, and for the old way of doing things to sort of reduce and fizzle out. So there's really no better time to chase your dream and change the world. So go for it. Thanks so much. Good luck. And it comes from being able to find a real calmness in your mind that you can tap into, which is really best found through meditation and also through exercise and going on cool adventures, and lots of other things as well. I can't summarize it all, but there's been a lot of great thinkers, philosophers and monks and stoics that have sort of rooted around in what makes people happy, and it's worth doing, reading into the topic, because it's not what on the face of it we're maybe led to believe in our current capitalist society. But absolutely, happiness does not come from spending hours scrolling your phone on social media or buying things that you don't actually need. You probably all know this already anyway, but I hope it's useful, at least to hear it. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but COVID-19 has been quite a bummer the last year, and I really empathize with you all, because, and especially with university students that have been going through the last year, because it's, if nothing else, really restricted the amount of parties that you could have had. And I hope you make up for it once we're all vaccinated and free to have fun again. But I feel like the silver lining in COVID, because there really are quite a few, and a really strong one for me is that it's proven that when we've got a massive global challenge, we are, as a global society, able to cooperate for the greater good. And this gives me enormous hope for our ability to actually tackle the much bigger challenge of climate change. So you're graduating at a very exciting time. I graduated just after the 2008 recession, which caused a similar time of uncertainty. But when these global catastrophes happen, it creates space for innovation and loads of space for new ideas to flourish, and for the old way of doing things to sort of reduce and fizzle out. So there's really no better time to chase your dream and change the world. So go for it. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Right, I'd like to thank David for that, taking the time to share that inspiring story with us. And as a high school principal, all I can say is when I hear the words, the inability to follow instructions resulting in amazing entrepreneurship, then that is music to my ears. I have no doubt that that story will hopefully provide you with some inspiration. And one of the major things that I love about IB is the mission statement about making the world a better place. And there's an example of someone who is the living, breathing embodiment of that, trying to achieve that. And that is really wonderful to see. It was unfortunate that David was unable to travel to Stavanger to see us, but hopefully he will be able to visit us in the near future and talk to our students in person. Okay. We now come to the part that has brought us all here, the awarding of the ISS High School Diplomas. Our high school counsellor, Holly Highbine, will be reading out the name of each student graduate. Lynn Park, our IB Diploma and IGCSE coordinator, and Mr. Thomas Howard, one of our high school maths teachers, will be reading a brief comment from each student. The chair of the board, Ms. Oshild Hannah Larsen, will be congratulating each student on receiving their diploma. When called by name, the individual student will proceed to the front of the stage. Students, when you collect your diploma, please savour the moment and don't rush off before your picture has been taken by our official photographer and your family and friends have had a chance to appreciate the moment. I now call upon Miss Park, Mr. Howard, Miss Highbine and Miss Larsen. Would row one please stand?
Solveig Ashdal.
Solveig is leaving ISS for Dickinson College in Pennsylvania, USA this fall after 3 years of many happy memories and much hard work. From participating in the musical to supportive teachers and friends, Solveig believes the school's offering, both academic and non-curricular, has prepared her well for a future in her desired field of humanitarian work.
Leila Aliaveda.
Layla is grateful for all that she's learned over her years and will be pursuing an education in the legal field in her later stages in life. She thanks all her friends and family for supporting her through her years at ISS.
Carlos Azarraga Aquido.
Carlos would like to thank his family and friends for supporting him throughout the years. He would also like to thank his teachers for being so supportive, even if he was very unorganized all the time. Carlos hopes to study engineering in Spain and wishes the best of luck to his classmates.
Alexander Baca.
Alex is planning to study psychology in the UK next year and would like to thank all his classmates and teachers for making his experience at ISS a memorable one.
Anya Baron.
Anya wants to thank her family, friends and teachers for helping her along the way. She is very grateful for the motivation, guidance and support she has received and for the lifelong memories she has made during her time at ISS.
Hugo Blackstone.
Hugo's plan for next year is to study applied computer science in Enschede in the Netherlands. He is grateful for the memorable experiences throughout the years growing up at ISS since the first grade in a foreign country. He is also very thankful for his parents and everyone who has supported him all these years.
Mathieu Bou.
Mathieu is planning to become an engineer. He would like to thank his parents for always being supportive and his brother for always motivating him to work harder. Mathieu would also like to thank his grade for making his experience at ISS a good one and wishes everyone the best of luck in their future endeavours.
Saloni Jahan.
Next year, Saloni hopes to attend university in the UK, where she'll be studying biomedical science. She's excited for this new chapter of her life to begin, but will always be grateful for everyone who made this last chapter at ISS so special and memorable for her.
Joey Cheng.
Joey is looking forward to studying engineering at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology next year. She would like to thank her family and friends for supporting her throughout her educational journey and to thank her teachers for inspiring her to develop her interests.
Lucas Clark.
Lucas wants to study geography and geology in the United Kingdom next year. He wants to thank all the teachers and students that have made his schooling here at ISS memorable and wishes everyone good luck in their future endeavours. He will cherish the memories he's made with staff and fellow students for a long time to come.
Gabriela Diaz de Leon.
Gabriella is grateful for all of the memories made here at ISS and wants to wish all the best to her fellow classmates. She would also like to thank her teachers and her parents for helping her on this long journey, and Gabriella is planning to study early childhood education here in Norway.
Siddharth Dushanta.
Sid feels grateful to have received his education from kindergarten to 12th grade from ISS. He would like to thank the school for the healthy international environment, supportive and kind teachers and classmates. His plan is to study computer security after this summer.
Maja Jingulovska.
Maja is planning to study material science and engineering next year. She would like to thank her parents and brothers for always being supportive and providing her with endless opportunities. Maja would also like to thank the class of 2021, especially Trisha and Isabella, for making her last 2 years of high school unforgettable. She wishes everyone the best of luck for their future.
Stephanie Edruwira.
Stephanie would like to thank her family and friends for supporting her during these past couple of years and is grateful for all the memories made at ISS. She plans to study medicine in Hungary next fall and wishes all the best for her peers.
Sabina Esmali.
Sabina is grateful for her teachers and classmates for making her 2 years at ISS memorable. She would also like to thank her friends and family for continuously encouraging and supporting her throughout this experience. She is looking forward to starting medical school this fall and hopes to see everyone back at the next reunion.
Embla George's daughter.
Embla wants to thank her family for the opportunities they've provided for her. She will always look back at the memorable experiences at ISS and wishes everyone the best of luck for their future.
Dominic Gajgaric.
Dominic wants to thank his family, friends and teachers for the encouragement, support and guidance throughout high school. He would like to thank all of his fellow classmates for a wonderful and memorable experience and wishes everyone the best of luck for their future.
Junior Gowan.
Juna joined ISS in 9th grade. He has greatly enjoyed his time during these 4 years. He will miss all of his fellow classmates. However, he's excited to adventure into his adult life.
Bhuvi Gupta.
Bhuvi thanks her lovely friends, incredible teachers and staff for 4 amazing years at ISS. She is especially thankful to Mr. Ness and Ms. Popenchuk for making her high school experience invaluable and grateful to her mother's endless support. Bhuvi plans to study international relations and international law at the University of Edinburgh and wishes her classmates all the best.
Vedant Gupta.
Vedant will be attending the University of Toronto next year for engineering. He would also like to say thank you to all his friends, family and teachers who've helped guide and nurture him throughout the past years. He wishes everyone a bright and enjoyable future.
Vijay Singh here.
Vijay would like to thank everyone who has been instrumental in his IB career so far. especially acknowledging his teachers, the boys, but most of all, his parents. If VJ learned anything from his IB experience, it was, as Bruce Lee would say, always be like water, my friend.
Mads Hermansen.
Mads has been a student at ISS for the majority of his life and has greatly enjoyed his time. He's excited to continue his life's journey and achieve his goals. He wants to tell everyone that it's been an unexpected last few months with unforeseen circumstances, but we made it to the end.
Maria Kak.
Maria is happy to finally graduate and is looking forward to studying computer science and business in Germany. She would like to thank her friends and family for the wonderful memories and hopes to see everyone again in the future.
Abil Kitsabai.
Abil's favourite memories of ISS are the high school musical plays, which among other things helped inform relationships that will last. Abil is very grateful for these relationships and would like to thank his fellow classmates and knowledgeable teachers for making his high school experience truly memorable. Abil's plans for the future include studying law at the University of Oslo, but also actively living life to the fullest.
Marius Kvinsland.
Marius joined ISS and has remained for 4 years, passing through IGCSE and IB, and has enjoyed playing football, hanging out and participating in Nisis. Despite the ups and downs, his most memorable moment was when he got stuck in the closet in Norwegian class and Alex was kind enough to help him out.
Carl Exo.
Carl would like to thank his family and friends for their support through his years at ISS. He would also like to congratulate his classmates for making it through and wish them good luck in the future.
Rachel Mackenzie.
Rachel would like to thank friends and family across the world for the love and support they have given. After 18 years of moving and being abroad, she is finally able to go home to Scotland for university, and she looks forward to the adventures she's going to have. She will never forget the memories she has made with the amazing people these last years.
Denise Bambajud.
Denise just wants to start off by thanking all of her teachers and friends. She's happy that she's done with IB, but she's also sad because she can't turn back time and experience everything all over again. If she could go back in time and do everything all over again, she would change some things, but overall she's happy with how everything has turned out.
Albert Bedell.
Albert wishes to use the words of Thomas Gray. To each his sufferings all are men, condemned alike to groan, the tender for another pain, the unfeeling for his own. Yet why should they know their fate, since sorrow never comes too late, and happiness too swiftly flies? Thought would destroy their paradise, no more. Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise.
Could row 5 please stand?
Alison Mellestrand.
Alison is very thankful to have been able to spend her last year of high school at ISS. She would like to thank her parents and friends for making this past year possible. She's looking forward to what her future brings in the coming years.
Killian Mientus.
Killian wants to thank his family as well as the ISS community for their support over these last few years, especially at times when work amount increased and along with it came stress. He is ready for the next chapter in his life.
Madeline Miller.
Madeline intends on studying in Canada, and she plans on studying political sciences, which should come as no surprise to those who did Model United Nations with her, and also hold on to her interest in studying creative writing. Madeline would like to thank her friends for being by her side for her 3 years and for helping her find the light which she needed. She would like to thank her teachers who pushed her to be the person she is today. Without them, she would not have come nearly as far.
Augusto Molina.
Augusto is planning on returning to North America to attend university at the end of the summer, and he would like to thank the ISS community for welcoming him during his last 2 years of high school.
Isabella Paliotto.
Isabella is planning to study architecture in the UK next year. She would like to thank her mother and her sister for always supporting her, and her dad for always pushing her to work hard. She would also like to thank 2 special gals, Trisha and Madzia, for making the last 2 years of high school bearable. Isabella wishes everyone good luck for their future endeavours.
Jessie Panton.
Jessie will be attending Erasmus University Rotterdam to study communications and media. She would like to say thank you to all the wonderful ladies who hype me up no matter what. Group chat will always be bussin', get a bag ladies. She would also like to thank her zealous teachers for their support and congratulate the class of 2021.
Could row 6 please stand?
Amkar Patil.
Omkar is very grateful for the support, encouragement and confidence provided by ISS. He would like to thank his family, friends and teachers for making the years memorable. Next academic year, he plans to study engineering in Edinburgh and wishes everyone good luck for their future.
Trisha Ravi Dev.
Trisha would like to thank her mum, aunt, sister and brother for supporting her. Her number 1 best buds, Isabella and Madzia, for the good times and good memories, and her teachers for always knowing their stuff. Trisha is looking forward to studying medicine in Australia and wants to wish her senior class the best of luck with their future plans.
Hannah Ryan.
Next year, Hannah is planning to attend the University of Groningen for arts, culture and media. She's excited to travel to a different country to start her exciting new life. Hannah is grateful for all the encouragement she's received from her friends, family and teachers, and wishes the best for everyone for their own new exciting life.
Leah Ryan.
Leah would like to thank all of her friends, family and teachers for giving her motivation to finish the IB course, and is forever grateful to everyone she has met at ISS and will cherish the memories she has made here. Lastly, she wishes to wish everyone good luck for their futures.
Prastiksha Sanjaya.
Pratiksha is grateful for her teachers for always helping her, and her parents for never pushing her too hard and always supporting her. She's sad to go, but will cherish all her memories from 6 years of backstage, all the way to reconnecting with past friends. She will take all these memories with her on her new journey in the University of Manitoba.
Soham Sawant.
Soam would like to thank his parents and family for their continued support and encouragement throughout his school life. He would also like to thank his friends and teachers for making school a wonderful and enriching experience. He is looking forward to studying biology in Canada and wishes his friends the best of luck on their future endeavours.
Could row 7 please stand?
Paulina Julia Susnowska.
Paulina would like to warmly thank her family, friends and teachers for all the wonderful memories and everything she's learned in her time at ISS that has made her into the person she is today. She plans to take a gap year next year, after which she will most likely study psychology somewhere in Norway. She's very grateful for all the unforgettable people she's met at ISS, and she wishes everyone the best of luck in their new adventures.
Nikolai Stola.
Nikolai is grateful for the opportunity to have attended ISS for the past 9 years and would like to thank his friends, family and teachers for all their continued support. Next year, Nikolai hopes to study in Denmark and is excited to start an international career. For the boys, Nikolai would like to remind them to stay young in spirit and age, or at least in spirit.
Sol Tadini.
Sol would like to say thank you to everyone for their help, guidance and support during her years at ISS. She also wishes to congratulate her classmates and wish them the best of luck in the future.
Brian Tang.
Brian plans to study criminology next year at the University of Winchester in the UK. He thanks all of his fellow classmates and teachers for his memorable experiences and their help in his growth to the person that he is today. He wishes everyone a safe and fun road and that they will hopefully cross roads with him again in future.
Matisse Toffolo.
Matisse appreciates the friendships he has made at ISS. He plans on attending university in the United Kingdom in order to study product design. He wishes to design a product and start his own company and hopes to find financial freedom and be able to return the support he's received. Matisse would like to thank his family and close friends for their support throughout his scholastic journey. He wishes Godspeed to all students graduating.
And could row 8 please stand?
Thomas Ubi.
Thomas is thankful for all the great memories shared with both teachers and students at ISS. He is grateful for all the support and help the staff have provided him with over the 4 years he's been at the school. Thomas aspires to be successful wherever he may go in the future.
Anna Morel van der Giezen.
Anna Morel plans on studying a bachelor's in psychology at Queen Mary University of London and would like to thank friends and families for being supportive and positive the past 2 years.
Jessica Walls.
Jessica would like to thank the staff and students at ISS for their support over the last 2 years. She has enjoyed returning to the international school system after having started her educational journey in an international school in Italy. Jessica is planning on voluntary work over the next year before returning to the UK to further her education. Thank you for the friendships and the memories.
Francesca Sophie Weinhold.
Francesca would like to thank her friends for their support during the highs and especially the lows of the IB experience. She would also like to thank Mr. Ostenberg, Ms. Stryker, Ms. Hatcher and Ms. Sidoraki for educating about the wonderful world of science. She plans to pursue her interest in chemistry this fall.
Rens Zylstra.
Renz would first like to say thanks to his family and to the boys. But since this will be the last biography read today, Renz would also like to say thank you to each and every one of you watching this for the support you've given to all of us over the past years. So let us give them a round of applause.
Graduates, can you all please stand? Thank you to Miss Larson, Miss Highbine, and Mr. Howard and Miss Park. At this point, I would like the graduating class of 2021 to move the tassel on their cap with their left hand from right to left. This practice is a visual indication that the students can now claim title to the diploma he or she has earned. Graduates, you may be seated. The valedictorian at ISS is awarded to the student with the highest academic standing in the entire graduating class. The valedictorian offers the closing words of wisdom to his or her peers as they graduate and head off to the next stage of their lives. Yesterday, at the high school awards ceremony, our valedictorian, Isabella Pagliotto, won the Fine Arts Award for outstanding performance and achievement in the field of fine art. She's described by her teachers as a dedicated, self-driven student who holds herself to an impressively high standard. In fact, one teacher said, "Teaching Isabella is more of a partnership, and I hope her taught her as much as she has taught me." High praise indeed. She wrote her IB extended essay exploring the concept of co-housing, examining how architectural design can promote sustainability, and was a Norwegian national finalist in this year's Unga Forskere competition. Throughout her time at ISS, she's been involved in a wide range of community activities, including 50/50, for which she designed the new logo, and MUN as a delegate, but also a key organizer of the Scanman Conference, held yearly here at ISS. Everything I've described about this young woman shows that she's someone who wants to make a difference in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's valedictorian, Isabella Pagliotto.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sure that if we look around the people sitting here today, especially the people sitting in these rows, we will see people that we know have shaped our lives impermeably and forever. What is important to acknowledge, or at least what I think is important to acknowledge, is that for this fairly large fraction of our lives, the time we have spent at ISS, we have been bound by shared experiences. And that has defined who we are, how we think, and how we perceive the world. For a long time, I connoted graduation with a certain finality, an ending. And it was only after I heard Ms. Landis speaking about the ceremony that I understood that instead it should be thought of as a beginning. So on this day of our genesis, our leap, a new start, a step into the future, no matter how far or fast we want to get away from ISS or high school, and trust me, I think we do, I hope we as a class take a moment to reflect on the people that have defined our high school experience, whether friends, teachers, family members, or anyone else that has had a profound impact on us. I hope that we also take a moment to reflect on our development as individuals. Many of us coming to ISS probably had a vision of what our high school experience would be like, who we were going to become, and what we were going to do. And I bet that many of you now, as a graduating student, would admit that your time in high school has been very different from where you thought it would be. I know that mine has been very different. Maybe your goals changed, you made new friends, maybe you changed what you wanted to pursue in the future. But it is through these changes, these developments, that the person you are now is someone you could have never conjured at the beginning of your high school experience. And that is a good thing. I wouldn't want to be 9th grade me right now. I hope that everyone here will continue to grow, continue to develop, and continue to work for what they believe in. Ultimately, what I'm trying to get at is your failures, your successes, your ups and your downs, whether in school or not, make these experiences the catalyst for your development. Try new things, do not conform, and also do not be afraid to fail. Because in failing, you gain ambition. I think we tend to forget how privileged we are to get this level of education. We now have the privilege to do whatever we want, pursue whatever we want, and be whoever we want. And we need to be able to recognize that. We need to recognize that we have the privilege as a class to be able to act on the exigencies of the world, whether that be in the sphere of politics, sustainability, economics, the arts, engineering, the list goes on. As one does, I was recently reading the essay on the shortness of life by the philosopher Seneca. And in the first page he states, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. But when it is wasted in heedless luxury and spent on no good activity, we are forced at last by death's final constraint and realize that it has passed away before we knew it was passing. So it is. We are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. So in this sentiment, I urge you, the class of 2021, to not waste your time. Use this education fruitfully. Find what you're passionate about and let it consume you. Invest yourselves fully in what you're doing. Time is life's most precious commodity, so spend it wisely. And on a final note, I speak from personal experience when I say truly, truly cherish those close to you. Those who have supported you, those who believe in you and will continue to believe in you. And cherish them whenever you have a chance, because the last thing you would want is to regret not having said thank you. So work hard, be kind, and congratulations, class of 2021.
Thank you, Isabella, for your poignant thoughts and reflections for the class of 2021. I agree with you, it's so important that you, the class of 2021, carries forward the idea that graduation is a beginning rather than an ending. And we hope you feel ready to start the next chapters of your life. And we all wish you well as you start this new exciting chapter. Right, there's only one thing left to do. Graduates, if you would please stand. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience and wherever you are around the world, I give you the class of 2021.